everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Introduction to Macroeconomics at Ozarka College. In this video, what I'm going to do is give you a demonstration of how to calculate the GDP and other calculations that it asks you to do for problem 6.2 on page 121 and 122 in the textbook. It's one of the questions on your chapters 5 and 6 assignment. All right, so for this particular question, it gives you a table, Exhibit 6.8 there, and it shows various numbers for the economy. For example, personal consumption expenditures, personal taxes, exports, depreciation, government purchases, gross private domestic investment, imports, and government transfer programs. It gives you all those numbers in billions of dollars, okay? And then what it's going to ask you to do is it's going to ask you to calculate some various things like GDP and net domestic product and net investment and net exports, all right? Now, this is really not that difficult at all. It shows you the formulas in your textbook, but I just thought I would kind of make this video just to demonstrate exactly what I'm wanting you to do for this particular question on the assignment. And I do want you to show all your calculations. And so what I'm going to do here is I've got an example here that I've created. This is not the numbers from the textbook. These are numbers I made up. But it's very similar to what you're doing on the assignment question, okay? Now, you'll notice I've got mine in millions of dollars. And all we're going to do is just basically make the calculations and then add the million to it at the end, all right? So you'll notice I've got all the pertinent information there to make our calculation, so that's there. And then on the next slide here, I've shown how you would go about making those calculations. So for example, GDP, as we found out in chapter 6, is the sum of consumption, investment, government purchases, and net exports, which would be exports minus your imports, okay? So if you plug all those numbers in from my example worksheet here, it would be 100 is the consumption, plus 20 is the investment, plus 40, which is government purchases, and then plus, and in parentheses, because you have to do this part first to get the net exports, it would be your imports, exports minus your imports, so it would be 20 minus 30, okay? All right, so you get a net export of minus 10 million, all right? So if you do all the calculations there, if you add the 100 plus 20 plus 40 together, that's 160, and then you subtract the 10,000 net exports, then that would give you a GDP value of $150 million, okay? So that's how you calculate that, all right? Then on the net domestic product, that is simply your GDP value that you just calculated minus depreciation. So in our case, it would be $150 million minus the $10 million in depreciation. You know, of course, you have to go back and look at the slide 1 that shows the table, all those numbers that I made up for this particular example. So depreciation in this case is $10 million. So you just take your 150 million GDP value minus the $10 million depreciation, and you would end up with $140 million for net domestic product, okay? Then the next thing it wants you to calculate is net investment. And this is simply your gross investment minus depreciation. So in our case, if we look back up here, our our gross investment was 20 million, and then our depreciation that we just used in the previous formula is 10 million. So it's 20 minus 10. So it's just your gross investment minus depreciation, which in our case in this example is 20 minus 10, which would give you a value of $10 million. Okay, so the net investment will be 10 million. All right, and then the last thing it wants you to calculate is very simple, something we've actually already done on the GDP calculation, which is net exports. So net exports is simply your exports minus your imports. So in our case, our exports were 20 million in the example here. If you look back up here, exports are 20 million, imports are 30 million. So our net exports is minus or negative $10 million. Okay, so I just thought doing this example here would help some of you that may not be able to follow along in the textbook very well with those formulas. But this hopefully will help you. Make sure that when you're doing this particular problem on your assignment that you show all of your calculations. I don't want you to just give me the final value. I want you to actually do just like I did here and show how you calculated each step along the way. All right? And so just make sure you do that and show all your work there. And if you have any questions as you're working on this, just let me know and I'll be glad to help you. And I'll talk to you next time. Thank you.